So it's Sam, and I'm here talking about the galactic plane, the plane of the galaxy in Vedic astrology, and what the plane of the galaxy is. We have this structure. We're actually sitting, our solar system is actually sitting in space, and it's orbiting the plane of the galaxy. And from our vantage point, the plane of the galaxy actually is sideways, basically because we are kind of sideways to it. And we are aligned with that. This is a live show, by the way, and I see some people are saying hi. Hello, folks. But the plane of the galaxy is extremely powerful, and it's been revered and important in all cultures, and particularly the Mayan culture and the whole astronomy and astrology around 2012. Remember that? Remember the big thing of 2012? How that was a big deal? Well, it actually was a big deal. And it's funny how many Vedic astrologers didn't really come on board with it at all, because they didn't really understand why that was such a big deal. And the reason is because the alignment of the solstices with the plane of the galaxy. So again, to understand what we're talking about, when we're looking at the early part of Sagittarius, of course, this is sidereal zodiac, sidereal Sagittarius, meaning the sidereal constellations that are aligned with the stars. 6 degrees of sidereal Sagittarius and 6 degrees of sidereal Gemini are where the plane of the galaxy runs. You said hi. I'm not going to be doing any more comments live. I'm going to teach. So hello, everyone. This is fun to do a live video. So the plane of the galaxy runs between 6 degrees of Sagittarius and 6 degrees of Gemini, right? And this is the first degrees of Ardra Nakshatra and the middle of Mula Nakshatra. And what's happening now in this, for the last 70 to 100 years or so, is we've had the solstice happen right as the sun crosses the galactic plane from our vantage point. Now, it's all a kind of visual alignment, but this is why the Mayan calendar, when the Mayan calendar reset on December 21st, 2012, the big reason why there was such a big thing made about this is because this coincided with this epoch and this period in time when on the solstice, that's why it was December 21st, 2012, on the solstice day, the sun would be crossing through the galactic plane at that time. And this resets the precession of the equinoxes, the precessional cycle. So the precessional cycle is like 25,600 years. That's how long it takes the Earth to wobble once on its axis and do a full round of, precess once, so that we visit the whole equinox. So that reset on December 21st, 2012, at least the Mayan calendar reset, and it was in conjunction with this plane of the galaxy. So when we look up in the sky, or when you look at the sun now, go ahead and look at the sun right now. Don't look straight at it, of course, but I mean, when you're seeing the sun right now, you are looking right back into the center of our galaxy. You're looking right back in the middle of Mula Nakshatra, right at about, the sun right now is about 4 degrees of Sagittarius, but we have the solstice coming up on December 21st, when the sun will be, again, about 6 degrees Sagittarius. It'll be exactly passing through the galactic plane on that day. On the solstice day, the sun will be passing through the galactic plane from our vantage point. So this galactic plane is also, and at the center or along the galactic plane is the galactic core. And I should be more precise. The middle of Mula is actually the galactic core. That's the actual point. The bulge of stars at the center of our galaxy is actually called the galactic core. Now, somebody got married 12/21/2012, Kelly Page. I was in Mexico on December 21st, 2012, teaching on the lunar nodes. I was at the Yucatan, right down in Mayan country. But it is a major transformative event. It's not just a kind of big thing that people made up. And it was weird how most Vedic astrologers totally ignored the phenomena of 2012. I didn't. I did a whole thing on Mayan calendar and a whole, the cosmology of 2012, the Vedic and the Mayan cosmology and how they parallel. And you want to understand that in Mayan cosmology, this section of the zodiac is called the Tree of Life. And you know why they call it the Tree of Life if you ever went to the Yucatan and looked up in the sky and saw the galactic plane rise above and rise in the night sky. It looks like a tree rising in the night. That's why the Mayans called this section of Sagittarius, this plane of the galaxy, that's why they call it the Tree of Life. And their whole mythology revolves around this Tree of Life. And at the root of the tree, we have Mula Nakshatra, which is totally from the Indian cosmology and mythology. So the thing to understand is that this whole universal quality of this is nice to see all the comments. I thank you all very much. But the sidereal zodiac, which is in alignment with the stars, shows the common universal mythology between all cultures. And the plane of the galaxy is one of the deepest. And again, you can see how completely different cultures arrived at exactly the same ideas based on the exact same portions of the sky. The exact same portions, of course, of the sidereal sky, which means the stars. It's actually one of the most compelling reasons to understand that the sidereal zodiac is the foundational zodiac. There's no reason to be looking for the one true zodiac that was around one day. We already know what the one true zodiac was, and it was sidereal because it's connected to the stars. So again, the same section of sky that allowed the Mayans to say, this is the Tree of Life. The Mayans call it the Tree of Life. The Indians say that this is where we have Mula or roots. This is the root system. It's like the roots of the tree. But again, these are totally different cultures, but the same energy that the Indians call Mula or root, which is the structure, and you pull something out by the root. The Mayans call it the Tree of Life. And here's what's interesting. When you listen to the Mayan creation myth, the Mayan creation story called Popol Vuh, which I think means, the story of cultures. I don't really know what it means in Mayan. But you have the Tree of Life that rises up out of Sagittarius. And then in the top of the tree, you have the hero twins. The hero twins sound like Gemini, opposite Sagittarius. So the Tree of Life rises up in Sagittarius. Opposite Sagittarius, you have the hero twins. And what happens in the story of creation is the blowgunner shoots a poison dart and knocks the hero twins out of the tree. And the poison dart, the blowgunner with the poison dart, is in Scorpio, the scorpion. So the scorpion with the poison dart sits at the base of the tree, which is Scorpio right before Sagittarius, and shoots the dart up into the tree that knocks the hero twins, the twins, Gemini, out of the tree. And then they fall at the base of the tree, and then they get dragged into the underworld by the Lord of the underworld. And the Mayan creation myth revolves around the hero twins always trying to trick the gods of the underworld into allowing life to continue. So basically, loosely stated, in the Mayan Popol Vuh creation story, this whole creation is like a divine play between the hero twins. So the whole world is basically the twins, the hero twins, tricking the gods of the underworld so that they won't kill them, so they get to live another day. So in order for life to keep going, the hero twins have to keep tricking the gods of the underworld who want to destroy everything, loosely stated. So the whole world is built upon this myth of the hero twins, which is basically related to Gemini, tricking the gods of the underworld, right? So that life can keep going. So it's a constant interplay between the forces of light and darkness, with the gods of the underworld down there at the Scorpio Sagittarius axis, which is also literally the Jeshta Mula Gandanta point. That's literally the lords of the underworld. The gods of the underworld live there. And opposite that, again, up at around 6 degrees of Gemini, you have the hero twins. And that's the other end of the plane of the galaxy. So again, you want to understand, it's not just Sagittarius, Gemini. It exists along the galactic plane. So the galactic plane, the plane of the galaxy, is very much about creation, destruction, transformation. And so when you look at the sun right now, and for the next few days, you're looking back into the center of the galaxy. You're looking back into the center of the galaxy, into the galactic plane. On the first day of winter, you're looking back into this. This is in the northern hemisphere. You're looking back into the center of the galaxy on the winter zodiac, on the winter solstice, rather, excuse me. And then on the summer solstice, you're looking exactly away from the center of the galaxy. But both the winter and the summer solstice exist along the galactic plane. And so this is why these are such transformative times, because the solstices, which shows energy shifting here on Earth relative to our orbit around the sun, is also passing through the most dangerous and transformative point in the zodiac, which is the plane of the galaxy. Because the plane of the galaxy also emits a lot of dangerous energy. And if we didn't have what's called the heliosphere, which is the sun's protective layer going around, extending from the sun throughout the whole solar system, if we didn't have that heliosphere of the sun protecting us, we would be bombarded by gamma rays and all kinds of radiation from the center of the galaxy. So you want to understand that the sun, even as a symbol of astrological protection and fatherhood and providence, the sun is not just a symbol of that with its light coming out and purifying and growing things. The sun is also literally creating the heliosphere that protects the entire solar system. That's actually why the sun is such a such a powerful influence and such a divine influence for the solar system itself. So it's not just that the sun is some general protective influence. It's also its heliosphere protects us from the gamma radiation emanating from the center of the galaxy. And so if it weren't for that, we would be just destroyed. And this is why in Mayan mythology and in Indian mythology, the galactic plane is the most destructive part of the solar system. Again, these are common myths across two cultures that had nothing to do with each other. I'm going to put a link here to my book. By the way, this is my book on Amazon.com. A few people have asked about books here. This is pretty interesting. I haven't done a live thing like this before with comments. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I did get a couple questions about if I'm going to be talking about how this affects people's charts. I'm actually not talking about, the galactic plane is something that is just an astrological phenomena. And I'm talking about the sun going through, the plane of the galaxy right now. However, there is something else. I'll put a couple links here. I encourage everyone to register for my upcoming web class on 2018. I just put a link to that as well. So there's a link to my book, and then there's also a link to the web class on 2018 where I'll talk about the upcoming year. But right now, what's really cool is to feel the transformational times that we're in right now. It's extremely transformational. And we say that stuff arbitrarily and we say it loosely a lot. But every year when we have the solstices, it's a time of shifting. But this year especially because we have Saturn is actually now there right on the galactic plane. Saturn is on the plane of the galaxy, and the sun is moving right up to that plane of the galaxy. And so I thought I would talk about the plane of the galaxy itself and what it is. And so these Mayan creation myths and culture myths are in alignment with the same Vedic creation myths as well. In particular, this symbol of the plane of the galaxy can also be seen in the story of Rahu and Ketu and the creation myth where the churning of the milk ocean happened with the gods and the demons churning the milk ocean. And the plane of the galaxy is the pivot that they use to churn the forces of darkness and light, with the gods on one side and the demons on the other side. And there's a pivot that they use to churn the milk ocean. And again, the pivot went down into the root, into Mula Nakshatra. You have the pivot that goes down into the root so that they can churn, so that the pivot doesn't sink into the ground. Saturn, in the form of Kurma, Avatar, the tortoise, went to the bottom of the milk ocean. And again, the milk ocean is the Milky Way. The Milky Way galaxy was what was being churned by the gods and the demons. And again, the pivot was the plane of the galaxy. So Saturn incarnated as Kurma, Avatar, the tortoise, to go down into the depths of the bottom of the milk ocean, the bottom of the Milky Way in Mula, and anchor the pivot in Mula. And then the gods and demons churned the milk ocean. And then at the top of after they churned all the way at the top, what started to come out was all of the poison of the world. So all of the poison from the purification process threatened to destroy the whole world. Once they started churning the milk ocean, they started unleashing all of this poisonous gas and this poison. And Lord Shiva had to come and drink the poison. Lord Shiva had to come and drink the poison. You want to understand the nakshatra at the top of the pivot. The top of the pivot, the nakshatra is Ardra, which is Lord Shiva. Arudra and Shiva is the nakshatra there. So again, you heard me talk about the Mayan creation myth with the gods of the underworld at the bottom and the hero twins at the top. In Vedic creation myth, you have the pivot, which is the plane of the galaxy, and you have the milk, and they're churning the milk ocean, which is the Milky Way galaxy, at the galactic core, at the root, which is Mula Nakshatra. And then as they churned at the top, all the poison came out, and Lord Shiva had to drink the poison to save the world. And at the top of at the pivot, at the top of the galactic plane, is Ardra Nakshatra. And then after he drank all the poison, then all the beauty of the world could emerge. But if Shiva didn't drink poison, there would have been no beauty in the world. And then after that, Ayurveda came forth, Dhanvantari emerged with Ayurveda, and then eventually they got a nice pot of nectar, a little pot of nectar that they wanted to distribute to the gods. They were supposed to distribute to the gods and demons evenly, but they didn't want the demons or the asuras to have any amrit. So they just gave it to the demons, so they just gave it to the gods. But one of the demons was very smart and managed to take a drink. And then Lord Vishnu cut his head off, and that's Rahu and Ketu, which eclipsed the sun. So this is the story of creation of the forces of darkness and light working together as a dynamic to keep creating the universe, just like the Mayan hero myth in the Popol Vuh, where you have that the universe is simply a game of the hero twins who have to keep tricking the gods of the underworld every day in order to keep creation going. Otherwise, he'll kill them. So the universe is a play of the hero twins tricking the gods of the underworld. In Vedic thinking, it was this cooperation between the forces of light and dark. It's very interesting, and this is a very sort of gross way to tell the stories, but I looked into these mythologies quite a bit several years ago. Nancy says, great cosmic message. How often does this happen? How often does what happen? The sun passes through the plane of the galaxy every year, twice exactly on the solstices. So we have the winter solstice and the summer solstice. And when we have the solstices now, which is when the sun is at its extreme orbit, it's then passing through the plane of the galaxy at that time. And so that's what happens each year now as the sun goes around, as the Earth goes around the sun. The alignment of, at that moment when the solstices happen, there's the alignment with the Earth and the sun, and we're looking back into the plane of the galaxy at that time on summer and winter solstice. And so someone says, what is the cycle of beginning at the center core? Not sure what you're saying. What is the cycle? The cycle of being at the center core. Sorry there, Ada. I just don't know what you mean. Listening from Quebec. I'm reading a couple comments here. We didn't realize the combinations until we writing the invitations month. Not sure that was meant for me. We'll get it then. He makes astrology easy to understand. He's one of my favorites. His Ascendant book is awesome. Thank you, Nancy Eileen. Appreciate that. Kelly, read that 1212 or master number. How's him affecting our signs? So people are asking me how this is affecting our sidereal signs. Well, whatever sign Sagittarius is for you, that's where the sun and Saturn will be right now. So if you're Aries, it's your 9th house. If you're Taurus, it's your 8th house. Gemini, your 7th house, etc. So that's the way it's affecting sidereal signs. But I just wanted to make this to check out this live feature, which is pretty cool, and to also talk about this plane of the galaxy and the solstice, because I'm going to be talking more about the solstices here in the next day or so. You said, do we need to know the placement of our sun for this? Well, people say, do you need... I'm talking about just a general phenomena right now, about the change and transformation. Everything's not about your personal chart. I say this a lot, but most of what we're experiencing is not personal. It's not your personal chart always. This isn't anything about your personal chart. So maybe do this during this time and stop thinking about your chart, your personal chart. None of this had to do with anyone's personal chart. Sometimes it's just what it is, right? But someone says, isn't Vedic astrology based on a geocentric model? And how has it been adjusted to a heliocentric model? Everything is geocentric because you live on the Earth. It's very simple. Heliocentric, you don't live on the sun. So I know some people do these things theoretically, but we don't live on the sun. We live on the Earth. So everything is geocentric astrologically, I think, at best, because all of it is coming to Earth, and not just coming to Earth in general. If you're talking about someone's natal chart, it's where you were on Earth or where you are on Earth at any moment. Heliocentrism is a theory, and it has to be a theory because we don't live on the sun. A heliocentric anything has to be theoretical. People say, well, if you read it heliocentrically, then everything is opposite. Yeah, but we don't live on the sun. It literally means things revolving around the sun. So we didn't incarnate on the sun. So astrology is the science of something incarnating here on Earth with a physical body. So if you're talking about the karmas of your physical existence on Earth in this lifetime, or anything on this Earth in this lifetime, anything happening on this Earth, you read it from the Earth. It's just too sensible. It's like saying, you know, it's like going to the doctor and saying, well, but let's not read my health from my physical body. Let's read it from the sun, body of the sun or something. No, your health revolves around your physical body. And the karmas on this Earth revolve around this Earth, geocentric, not heliocentric. So that's how I understand it. I'm not saying people who do heliocentric or whatever can't be right about what they're saying, but to me, it doesn't. I've never been really compelled by much of anything that has to do with that, for the simple reason I said. When you look up in the sky, you're seeing it. This is literally, and especially in Vedic astrology, it's Jyotish, which is the science of light. The light that comes and that hits you and that you receive, and that the planets emanate. You see them there, their light comes. Or it's where you are, where they are, what's behind it, what is influencing as it comes. That's where you're living. That's what it is. So, let me see. Sorry, I had a phone call. I always shot the twins in Mayan were reminiscent of Gemini, and now you show the creation story connection. Actually, here's something that's very interesting about the Mayan, that part of the Mayan zodiac, is actually you see the exact same symbols, sidereal, in both systems, even though they have nothing to do with each other. For example, what we call Taurus in Vedic and Western astrology is the bull. It's a stable, solid, foundational energy. In Mayan cosmology, it's symbolized by a turtle, literally by a turtle. And the three stars of Orion's belt, which is called the Orion Nebula, which is that section of sky, those three stars are on the back of the turtle, and they take those three stars and they emulate those as what are called hearth stones, like in their home. So in their home, they emulate the three stars of the nebula, which is the constellation of the turtle, in their home, but it's very much, it's a Taurus energy. It's the home, it's the structure, it's the stability, it's the family. So all those things that we associate with Taurus, which is the bull, they associate with the symbol of a turtle. It's the same energy. And then the next constellation we call Gemini, which are the two, which is the man with the club and the woman. They have a symbol of these two, what are called pecaries, or these little these little wild pigs, and they're actually fornicating. It's these two fornicating pecaries. That's the constellation that actually exists in what we call Gemini. So it's two of them, and it's these playful, fornicating, stimulated little animals in that section of the sky. So you have the turtle, which is very much like Taurus. You have the pecaries, the twin pecaries, which are very much like Gemini. And then opposite that, because this Taurus, Gemini, Scorpio, Sagittarius, this is the axis where the plane of the galaxy runs, right? So they have the turtle and the pecaries, and then at the bottom they have the scorpion, which is the same as as our Vedic and Western Scorpio, because they also have scorpions. And then they have the tree of life, which is Sagittarius. So the scorpion is at the base of the tree. Scorpion is at the base of the tree, and he's got a blowgun with a poison dart. That's Scorpio energy for them. Again, and then in the Popol Vuh, in the creation myth, rather than shooting a dart and it hits little, fornicating pigs, it's The twins are up in the tree. And you see this story played out in the Mayan glyphs. You see it written on the walls, and then they have the thing describing the story. And it's all cosmology. And the way they describe the ecliptic, the zodiac belt, is a snake, is a serpent. And the serpent is often in the tree. So in the tree, which represents, the plane of the galaxy, you have a serpent. And on the serpent, you have these zodiacs glyphs on the back of the serpent. And he's up in the tree. It's all fascinating. So it's different cultures, but it's the same energies. And that's the thing that's really amazing when you start. And all of this is sidereal zodiac. See, this is why sidereal zodiac is primal and foundational and fundamental. Simple, period. What they call the tropical zodiac is based on seasons and other things that doesn't have to do with the primordial stars, with the universal cosmic energy. That's why every ancient culture used the sidereal zodiac, and that includes the Babylonians, the Mayans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Indians, all of them. Mesopotamians, Babylonians, Chaldeans. There was no thing as tropical zodiac until the 2nd century in Alexandria, when a guy named Ptolemy, who wasn't even an astrologer, decided that might be a good idea. Most people think he did it to stabilize the calendar, because they were trying to get the calendar worked out. He wasn't even an astrologer. So it's like 12 months, 12 zodiac signs. Let's join these things. Let's join these zodiac signs to the calendar and the seasons. And that's probably, or at least a pretty good, it's a reasonable hypothesis of how sidereal zodiac, tropical zodiac even started. So this is all sidereal, sidereal magic. Well, let me see here. Oh, we got quite a few things here. Do you have specifically K2? Okay, so we're talking about this. Right, they arrived at these symbols and archetypes from separate geolocations, but same essential symbol. Right, Raja, you're totally right on with that. That's exactly right. And it's because the universe itself is the divine matrix, the universe, and not the tropical zodiac. No, the universe. This is why we use the universe. Tropical zodiac is not the universe. It's the Earth's precession and orbit projected into space. Again, this is why tropical zodiac really doesn't make a lot of sense to many, including myself, because it's not the zodiac. It's the Earth going around the sun and the seasonal calendar. It's a calendar. Just like there are 12 months in the calendar, tropical zodiac is those 12 portions. And that's what it was to the ancient Indians as well, by the way. They had 12 solar months, but then they also had 12 zodiac signs, and they're different things. So, Peccaries, wild pig. Wow, Gemini's Peccaries, right. Gemini is sexual. So where's the galactic plane in sidereal? The galactic plane, Nancy, as I said, is 6 Sagittarius to 6 Gemini. That's always where it is. That's where the plane of the galaxy is, literally. Fascinating. Same energetic, are perceived by 2 cultures. Traditions so similar. Yes. And I haven't even mentioned the Egyptians. The same kind of thing. Exactly the same thing. Their whole creation and destruction story revolves around the same section of the sky. So I'm talking about Vedic and Mayan, but it's the same like in Egyptian, and I'm not as versed on it, but where you have Osiris and all of that happening, it all happens around that same section of the sky, the dog star and the hunter and the, I don't know Egyptian creation myth as well, but it's still around the same plane of the galaxy. It's that same section of the sky where all the creation myths happen. There's other creation myths in Vedic that also has to do with Prajapati and Rohini, and then Mrigashira, where Rohini turns into a deer, and then Lord Shiva as Rudra shoots the deer in Ardra. That's another part of the same creation myth or a similar creation myth, same section of the sky. And then the opposite section is where you have Lord Indra, who, the universe gets destroyed, and then Lord Indra has to fight with Lord Indra rules the nakshatra of Jeshta, and then Kali and Niriti rules the god, or is related to the goddess in Mula nakshatra. So all of the creation and destruction myths, and they're not just myths, by the way. Us who do astrology, we realize Ardra and Mula is extremely destructive. This is why I'm saying there's a lot of transformation and destruction possibly right now. Possible right now. A lot of creation, and they call it the dark rift in Mayan cosmology, the dark rift. And what you see, one of the mythologies they have is what's called the Jaguar paddler. Jaguar paddler. So the zodiac is seen as like a river as well, and there's a jaguar who is like the guide, and he's in a boat, and he's paddling, taking you around the zodiac, around the sky in a boat, right? Just like you'll see, like, the sun is on a chariot with horses and whatnot. In Mayan, they have jaguars, which are, secretive, powerful animals, and he's in a boat. So it's called the Jaguar paddler, and he's in a boat. And then what happens is when the Jaguar paddler reaches the plane of the galaxy, or what they call the dark rift, he drowns. He gets destroyed and goes underground in the dark rift, and then he emerges on the other side. So the Jaguar paddler disappears at the dark rift, or at the plane of the galaxy, and then he emerges on the other side. So it's the same section of sky, this destruction, and they say that he drowns, like he's drowned, he drowns because it's the symbol of water, right? Because he's in a boat. And again, in Mayan cosmology and mythology is fascinating, because you see all of these pictograms, these amazing pictures, and their language was all sort of pictures. And so you see all these, things illustrated on the sides of their temples and pottery and all kinds of different things. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Really interesting stuff. So, so let's look at a few other things here. Means black so George Thompson, Egypt, Kemet, Kem means black, means community, so it's black community. Yeah, so just looking at a few things. My computer's over here where I have the comments. So we have here. So you can research. Someone said, where do you find the symbols through Mayan? You can find the I have several books. Hang on a second, I'll go get a couple. Hang on a second. So this is the Popol Vuh. Really good book. Written by Dennis Tedlock. And this is another one, if you want to really get into it, another one by Dennis Tedlock. So Dennis Tedlock is quite a scholar, as you would understand. And there was also, even if you just Google Mayan cosmology or Mayan symbology, or, Popol Vuh or anything, or Mayan zodiac, you'll bring up stuff. All of that. So people are saying, general, good time to start new things. It's always in general, good time. I don't know. These are too general. It's too general, right? I'm always starting new things. I'm always destroying old things. Depends. These kinds of, those kinds of things, when you try to pull something like that out of astrology, it's too general. Any astrologer who would say stuff like that, look, in general, new moons are when things start. But for you, it might not be, because I don't know your chart. So none of those things are reliable. They're kind of like a little piece of candy here and there that doesn't really work out, honestly. As I've said, things are getting destroyed right now a lot, but when things get destroyed, they make room for things to be created as well. Let's see. Been talking to a Jyotish, and he says elephants have the same connection to African esoterics that do in Vedic. Yeah, that makes sense. Elephant is a symbol, and it's a symbol of power, of dominance, of intelligence and gentleness, and of clearing the way, because that's what elephants do. Elephants can take and pull a tree out, So the elephant's trunk, it can actually pull a tree out by the roots, or it could pick up a needle off the ground. So it's actually a symbol of the discrimination of the mind that's strong enough to block out things, but also subtle enough. This is why Lord Ganesha has a lot of discrimination to be able to even pick up a needle off the ground, but also to uproot and move entrenched ideas out of the way. So, yeah, I also think that, look, Sidereal is really, the Sidereal zodiac is a foundational zodiac, period. And the tropical zodiac did not even exist until astrology had been practiced for more than 1,000 years. So, and the Vedic astrology system, absolutely, without a doubt, is sidereal. And you never heard anyone say any different until, very recently. So anyone who believes that, really just ask yourself what makes more sense. That every astrologer for the last 2,000 years was wrong. I mean, come on. The whole system is based on calculating calculating everything sidereally. Your common sense would tell you. I mean, who's right? Every astrologer for the last couple thousand years, or these 2 or 3 guys? I mean, honestly, at this point, people, it's just, I actually am going to be doing some things to show in the ancient texts. Those show these things very clearly. In fact, maybe even in the next few days. So, anyway, oh, please. I'm not the guy, nakshatras for mega wealth and poverty. I'm not that guy. Again, mainly because this stuff doesn't work, man. Please. It's just nakshatras for mega wealth and poverty. These things are so individualized, so anyone who's looked at a lot of charts and done a lot of readings realize it's just too simple. These kinds of things. Yeah. So, all right. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go now, but I had a great time. And we'll leave it at that. Oh, by the way, people who use tropical with sidereal, what do you think? What do you think I think? They're free to do it. They're also not doing Vedic astrology. It's just simply not the way the system was designed. And everything, look, I'll say this last thing. Everything is a system, okay? Sidereal, look, astrological systems like Indian astrology or Vedic astrology, it's a system that was developed a certain way, just like a science. Just like Ayurvedic medicine works according to the principles of Ayurveda. You can't take the principles of Western allopathic medicine and try to apply it to Ayurveda. It doesn't work. Or you can't do Western Veda and then say, but I also use pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, but then that's not Ayurveda anymore. So this is the distinction. And yes, this is how I feel. Because the Vedic astrology, or the astrology of India, was conceived with those calculations. That's the science. And it's a science. And with a science, you don't get to just say, oh, I don't do it. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You can do that if you want, but then you're not doing that science anymore. That's all. It's just anyone who debates that also, it's just not being sensible. And again, these people that do that use sidereal nakshatras and the tropical signs, and then they hold up these books, and then they'll hold up one of these books and say, see, this book is amazing, but I don't calculate anything the way they say to do it. It just, I mean, I'm sorry, but at some point, you're not doing it. That's all. You're doing something else. And you can do it, and you can say that it works better for me, and it worked better for me and my stuff. Okay, I get it. It's still, but then you're not doing it. Then you're not doing the science anymore. So anyway, that's all I can say about it. And thank you all for showing up. Oh, by the way, someone said show my books again. Okay. I actually put a link in the description. I actually put a link in here for this one. Yoga and Vedic Astrology and the Ascendant. I'll put the links again, actually, because they're good books. You should get them. Oops, wait a minute. Do this here. there's that one. And my other book is called The Ascendant, 108 Planets of Vedic Astrology. And you could get that one there. And they're both also available on Kindle, which is a really good option, especially if you live in another country. You can get the Kindle reader. Even if you don't have a Kindle device, you can get a free Kindle reader and read it on your computer and use it as like as a reference book. Very good reference books. I recommend people get them on. Get the free Kindle reader. It's free, and you can download it to your Kindle reader and then use it like a reference book. Like you can search the Kindle reader for something like Libra or something, and boom, brings up Libra, and then you can search it for that or other kinds of things. This book, especially if you really want to learn, a lot about the fundamentals, you can do that. And I have a very detailed index. So as you can see, the index is pretty developed. So you can search the book for all that stuff when you get it on the Kindle reader as well. Okay. So anyway, guys, this was fun. I'll do more of this because it was definitely enjoyable, and I'll announce it and all that. So y'all take care.